How was your day today? Hi, welcome to Why Is That? Our podcast series that always starts with why questions based on the first principle thinking method, original thinking. This approach offers you diverse perspectives on various life issues and helps you cultivate a truly vibrant spirit. Join us for this episode. Have you ever met a boss with a stern demeanor and sharp words, so much so that everyone in the office feels intimidated? A boss who doesn't hesitate to scold or harshly criticize employees with heavy, unrestrained language the moment they open their mouth. This boss believes that only through such harsh words can employees become stronger and progress faster. Have you ever met a mother who grumbles and complains the moment she opens her mouth? Whenever her children do something she disapproves of, she immediately unleashes a torrent of blame, criticism, and scolding. She believes that to truly love a child, you must spare the rod, so they can become independent and mature later in life. Or, in your friendships, have you ever had a brutally honest friend? One who would readily call you foolish, point fingers and name names when you messed up, or even say things that deeply hurt you, making you feel dishonored. That friend claims to have a snake mouth, Buddha heart, and believes that only by speaking harshly can they cure your stubbornness. Well, they might excuse themselves by saying they unintentionally hurt us, but it was all for our own good, right? But who can truly be sure that a snake mouth comes with a Buddha heart? So, what exactly does snake mouth, Buddha heart mean? Snake mouth, Buddha heart is a folk idiom that embodies the contrast between inner feelings and outward expressions. People often use this idiom to describe individuals whose words are sharp, biting, and easily inflict pain, yet whose hearts are actually kind, compassionate, and always wish others well. They are people who speak as if biting like a snake but live like a bodhisattva, making us both fear and love them. From a psychological perspective, this snake mouth, Buddha heart phenomenon can be explained through the concept of dissociation between verbal expression and internal intent. Words are not always a faithful reflection of our intentions. People under high stress or stimulated by intense emotions like anger, frustration, or anxiety may speak out of immediate reflex. Shouting, scolding, or gruff words don't necessarily reflect malicious intent. In many cases, it's just the brain trying to reduce internal pressure to regain balance, much like a pot boiling over when internal pressure exceeds its limit. Verbal reactions in such situations are the product of an emotional release mechanism, a physiological and psychological response to temporarily alleviate stress in the brain. Studies on emotional regulation also show that individuals with low emotional regulation scores are more prone to reactive rather than proactive verbal behavior. They lack the time or skills to pause and think before speaking, leading to impulsive remarks. After calming down, they often feel regret, shame, or a desire to correct their mistakes. This indirectly suggests that their true internal intentions are not malicious. In East Asian culture, where family and community are prioritized over the individual, one often encounters an attitude of forgiveness and acceptance towards those who are sharp-tongued but kind-hearted, especially within families. Parents often appear strict, even harsh, with their children, using blunt and unpleasant words, yet this is often their most sincere way of showing care. Only parents who truly love their children use firm words to teach and guide them, helping them grow and become upright individuals. This highlights the value of internal behavior over outward appearance or fleeting words. In the Vietnamese mindset, gentleness in speech is not necessarily the sole measure of affection. More important is living with meaning, compassion, and thoughtfulness for others. Words of reproach, initially perceived as bitter, momentarily transform into profound expressions of care. Threats are seen as a form of teaching, helping children understand life's boundaries and responsibilities. The positive meaning of the snake mouth, Buddha heart idiom reflects a spirit of tolerance and understanding in daily communication. It advises us to look deeply into others' inner psychology instead of rushing to judge them by their outward appearance or heated words. Sometimes, harsh words are merely a chisel to sculpt people into more complete beings, while simultaneously preserving sincerity and strong bonds in family and social relationships. However, where does this blunt, sharp-tongued nature come from? Everything has a cause. If we look deeper through the lens of psychology, sociology, and philosophy, harshness in words and gestures is a trace of trauma, circumstances, and complex defense mechanisms within the human psyche. According to Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis, impulsive behavior, biting remarks, or irritable reactions can be understood as the emergence of repressed impulses in the subconscious. When a person experiences a childhood with too many conflicts, a lack of love, or is forced into strict patterns, unresolved negative emotions accumulate, like molten lava beneath the cold crust of reason. At some point, when the endurance limit is exceeded, these suppressed emotions erupt into harsh behaviors and rough words. These, snake-mouthed, individuals are often unconsciously victims of childhood traumas. Many modern psychologists also agree that a harsh temperament is often linked to insecure childhood experiences. John Bowlby's attachment theory suggests that children raised in environments lacking secure attachment, that is, where there is no consistent listening or stable care, are more likely to develop anxious avoidant attachment styles. As adults, they struggle to express emotions healthily and instead react with irritability and a lack of concern as a defense mechanism. For them, showing vulnerability means risking further harm. Therefore, they choose to inflict harm on others as a protective shell. When people don't learn how to express sadness, hurt, worry, or feelings of being lost with gentle words, they resort to harsh language. However, harshness or snake mouth language cannot be viewed solely as a personal issue. From a sociological perspective, rudeness in behavior is also a result of the living environment. A stressful, achievement-oriented society, with little time for spiritual life and a lack of space for sharing, creates people who are easily irritable and struggle to control their emotions. In such an environment, gentleness becomes a luxury. Soft values like kindness, patience, and listening skills are deemed weaknesses. People are taught to compete and confront rather than empathize. A child growing up in a home where parents frequently shout, lack listening skills, and are rarely praised or asked about their feelings will learn to communicate harshly, disregard affection, and prioritize control. As adults, these children will become parents themselves, continuing to transmit this pattern of blunt, sharp-tongued communication to the next generation. This habit will become ingrained in the subconscious like an instinct, unconsciously repeating across generations. Furthermore, from an existential philosophical perspective, Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Man is his own judgment." Though shaped by circumstances, each individual still bears responsibility for their choices. He emphasized human freedom in every decision, including how we react to the world. Someone who has experienced romantic rejection might choose to close off their heart, but they can also learn to heal and open up again. Someone who lived amidst violence can perpetuate that violence onto others or choose to break the cycle. It cannot be denied that some people are born with a sharp tongue, easily reacting to stimuli, but that only explains their capacity for strong reactions, not their morality or character. So let's return to the first question of this podcast episode. Can a snake mouth truly have a Buddha heart? Having a good heart does not equate to having the right to hurt others. Many people cling to the reason, "I say it for your own good," or "my words are harsh, but my heart is kind," to justify their blunt remarks. In reality, even if the intention stems from a good heart, harsh language can still leave deep scars in the listener's soul. Once spoken, words carry their own weight and can become bad memories, especially for sensitive individuals or young children. If this behavior is repeated frequently, it creates psychological wounds. Listeners gradually internalize the belief that they are not good enough, not worthy of respect. In Buddhism, there is a concept that verbal karma is one of 3 important types of karma, alongside physical karma and mental karma. In the Noble Eightfold Path, right speech is a core practice. Individuals whose words are like venomous snakes cannot truly manifest a kind and benevolent heart. If the mouth is indeed a snake's, then the heart must also carry a touch of malice. For words cannot be separated from a person's nature, even if they claim it's merely frankness, that they don't want to be dishonest or hide the truth. But truly, that's just an excuse for a lack of kindness. A genuinely kind person, when they wish to speak the truth, will choose a gentler and more subtle approach so that the listener can receive it without feeling offended. Words can be painful, but that pain should come from truth and good intention, not from a damaging delivery. a person who speaks harsh words, even without malicious intent, still creates unwholesome karma because those words sow suffering in the hearts of others. Buddhism does not encourage using a good heart to justify harsh speech. On the contrary, it emphasizes that the mind is the root, but speech is the fruit. If the mind is truly compassionate, then speech must also be gentle. According to this ideal, a snake mouth cannot be an expression of a Buddha heart. Even bitterness, though well-intentioned, needs to be controlled. For if the mind is not pure enough, the words can hardly be free of venom. Not only in Buddhism, but Western philosophy, from Aristotle to Kant, has debated this point. In Kant's ethics, an action is truly moral only when it stems from duty and is performed correctly, not merely based on good intentions. Meanwhile, Aristotle emphasized cultivating character and practical wisdom to know how to speak and act at the right time, meaning one must not only be kind, but also wise. From this, we can see that a person with a snake mouth, Buddha heart, is not necessarily morally perfect. They may have compassion but lack the art of living and the wisdom to express that compassion in a way that doesn't cause harm. On the other hand, a person using harsh words as a way to relieve stress is not always harmless. Therefore, even if the speaker has a Buddha heart, without mindfulness, their words can still become arrows that pierce the souls of others. Goodness in the heart is only valuable when accompanied by responsible actions and words. Kindness does not excuse the hurtful behaviors we cause, even if unintentional. So, don't sacrifice everything just for a sharp tongue. If it's simply straightforwardness, you can help others see problems clearly and realize their mistakes. But when it's just bluntness and bitterness, you are inflicting pain and hurt. To truly become a person with a Buddha heart, we must first learn to master our words, learn to use language to bring love, comfort, and encouragement. Because words are also actions, all stemming from the heart. And when the heart is full of compassion and love, speech will reflect that gentleness, tenderness, and bring peace. A person with a Buddha heart deeply understands the power and the potential for harm that words carry. They know how to choose words that are just right, subtle, and do not hurt others. Harsh words have never been effective in helping someone recognize mistakes or grow. Because they only create pain and distance, pushing listeners away rather than drawing them closer to understanding and repentance. When we use bitter words to criticize, we unintentionally make others defensive, closing off their hearts instead of opening them to receive and change. Don't let your mouth merely satisfy a fleeting urge and thereby hurt others, causing affection and connection to be lost forever. Right. And that's this week's podcast episode. If you resonated with these shared thoughts, don't forget to follow our channel and look forward to the next episodes of Why Is That? Bye.